Welcome to Super Talk Outdoors, where we celebrate every single Monday at lunchtime the world-class outdoors of the state of Mississippi, because this is the capital of the outdoors in America. I want to thank you for joining us on the powerful Super Talk Mississippi Radio Network, or on your favorite podcast, or on social media. We really appreciate it. We try to be there wherever, whenever you want to engage in the show, and we really appreciate that. But as we often say, radio is still king here at Super Talk. That is for sure. Today is March 31st, 2025. Listen, we got a great show today. In the second half of the show, Representative Bill Kincaid, who is the chairman of the House Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee, we're going to talk about the recent successes, specifically around the turkey bill. And we're just going to check in with Bill. I'm looking forward to Bill joining us for the second half of the show. And in the first half of the show, I have my dear friend, Cuzz Strickland. It's been a while since he and I got together, and wanted to get Cuzz in to talk about the turkey season and how it's going for him. And I'll share some of my stories as well. Cuzz, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. We got a little storm going through, and it's, we used to just have thunderstorms. Now it's like all hands on deck. Tornadoes could be possible. We have too much information. Another typical spring.
That is for sure, man. That is for sure. Listen, I wanted you to know that as we were chatting a little bit before the show started, your Fistful of Dirt podcast continues to build steam. I particularly enjoyed, I think, the most recent one. You had Toxie Hayes and Bobby Cole on, but you've also had a terrific series recently that I've enjoyed kind of tapping into, a series of shows that you call The Secret Sauce, where you've been, talking to some legends from the woods. But you're enjoying doing that, aren't you?
Dude, I get a lot of information myself. The thing about turkey hunting is there are no absolutes. I used to do seminars all the time, and I don't do many anymore, but that was what I called it. I said, there's no absolutes. There's no magic call. There's no magic formula. And when you get people like, Paul Butsky and Chris Kirby, who've been doing it forever, they kind of reinforce those thoughts, because they shoot from the hip. And there's some great little gold nuggets information in there, and people like that. And we're not selling them anything other than here's some information. And asking them all the same exact questions, I think, was a really good idea, because they tend to be a little bit different. But people liked it. Again, that was Lauren's idea, and I just facilitated it. But we got such a good response, I kind of got the next 5 lined up for next year.
Hey, so Cuzz, tell me about how your turkey season's going so far.
Yeah, we were visiting a little bit before we came live there. Started in Florida, as I have for a decade and a half, the Wounded Veterans Hunt, we call it. And I learned after day one, because you get, we go to these ranches, it's a Florida Cattlemen's Association, whatever, and we have territories. And I've had that first ranch, I've had that same territory forever. I know it really well. And after a full day in there, I knew I was in Jake jail. I could absolutely identify 22 different Jakes in my region down there. I knew there was a longbeard or 2 or 3 hanging around, but although that's good news for next year, it's not good news for this year. And went to another place 2 weeks later in extreme North Florida, right on the Georgia line, and kind of got back in Jake jail again. And I had a guy call me the other day, say, hey man, I owe you a turkey hunt for speaking at our church, but we can go anytime. But I'm telling you, I'm overrun with Jakes. And you said your son had a encounter with that, and it makes it hard.
Yeah, he's been in Jake jail the entire turkey season. There's one longbeard in there, but it doesn't gobble. So he got back to the truck the other day and sent us a note and said, what's the definition of insanity? And then he heard it gobble, and there he goes back down into the woods again. But it reminds me of the devil turkey that Cranky talked about.
Yeah, the devil had a couple of running mates with him all the time. They weren't Jakes, and they'd kind of pop their head up first and look around. But I guess it just builds character a little bit when you have to do that, because when you have a really good hatch, and I'm not complaining about that, those jakes, when they get in groups, they're like a gang. And they'll attack those big turkeys. I filmed that one time way back when I was filming for Will Primos back in the day. And them big turkeys, they just get real passive and even more wary because they don't want to get run off. And them jakes man, it can make it tough. That's why they won't gobble, because if they gobble, then those jakes will come at him and run him off.
Well, how's your grandsons doing? Because
they're good. You know, Walker, the oldest grandson, he's missing a lot of turkey season. He's playing baseball. He's in the pitching rotation for Tupelo. That's a 7A high school. I went up there and watched the game the other night with Madison, which they lost in extra innings. But I said, look, man, we can turkey hunt anytime. You can't be a senior on the baseball team but once. So I'll make it up to him. Matt and Cranky, the other two, I had them in Florida, and it's my little honey hole I go to with my buddies down there. It's such a good ranch. And this was like our fourth or fifth trip down there. And they both killed real early down there. And this time we hunted 2.5 days, 3 mornings, and nobody killed a turkey. And I think, like I was telling you, I think it did them some good. They got real agitated and had one close call after another. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a podcast with them about that, because I think it did them more good than harm being humbled like that, because I've probably spoiled them a little bit with good dirt.
I'm sure you have spoiled them. I mean, think about it, man. Look what you've had access to. Their lives have been full of, if not the experience, the stories. And I think it's important to learn that it's not automatic.
Yeah, I enjoyed them watching kicking rocks, coming out of the woods with their head down a little bit. But they're not deterred. Matter of fact, the opening it's the middle of April. I don't remember the date, but I'm taking them to Nebraska to try to finish out their Grand Slam. Everybody needs a Miriam, so we're going out there, and this will be their first flight, and they're pretty excited about that. And Jim Kewen, the guy at the Roost out there, which is a legendary place, this is his last year. He's shutting it down. He called me and said, man, you've been so good to us. What can I do? And I said, well, now that you brought it up, I'd love for my grandsons to get a Miriam. So they're out there. He has both. They have Rios and Miriams in those mid counties and northern counties. So they're going to have a chance at a Miriam. I'm dying to see if the first turkey that comes in there strutting is a Rio, if they have enough gumption to pass it up. My guess is not. But anyway, I'm gonna give them a chance, because it's turkey hunting's pretty special, and I'd love to see him get the Grand Slam. Not that it's a big deal. Everybody goes for the World Slam now. I don't personally recognize that turkey down in South America, the oscillated. It looks more like a peacock to me, and it don't gobble. But I'd love for him to get a Miriam. Those are very pretty.
Yeah, that's a great story. Listen, I've enjoyed keeping up with your grandsons. Cranky in particular has been on this show before. He has a huge following. He's starting to get up there in age now, isn't he?
Oh, it's heartbreaking. He's now a teenager, and he's got braces. And I posted a picture of him the other night, or I don't know, not too long ago, him going. I called it a sock hop. It was some kind of dance at their school, and he was decked out, and it's like, golly, he's grown. And Matt's 17, Walker's 18. My oldest granddaughter is graduating in May from Mississippi State. So I'm kind of trying to stick around now. Maybe I can get some great grandkids and go through this whole thing again, because it's fun. It's crazy. I love my children, and I tell people all the time, you don't think you can love anything more than your kids, and you have them grandkids, and you hit another gear, and it's been a blessing. For me, I have had more fun.
Listen, I can't agree more. I have, God bless me with 3 amazing children, and we have 4 grandkids now. And they are, so actually one turns 4 today, actually 4. Wow. So they're 4, 6, let's see, 7 and 8. I think I have that right, or maybe 7 and 9, but you get the basic spread of my grandkids. what a beautiful, wonderful age, man. They love to go fishing and hunting and just be outside. First thing my youngest Liam will say to me when he gets to the house, and he'll say, Papa, let's go outside. We have to go outside. If all we're doing is looking at leaves and studying, the trees and, going down and, especially when we have clear water, we live on the water on Back Bay, and just go look for crabs and fish. And they're just so aware of every detail, man. And I can't get enough of that. Hey, listen, we're coming to the end of this segment together. When we come back on the other side, we're going to continue our conversation with my friend Cuzz Strickland. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to visit with my friend Cuzz Strickland. But listen, before we go back to Cuzz, let me say that this: are you looking to purchase your perfect piece of hunting property, upgrade your farm equipment, or have you been dreaming of owning your slice of heaven out in the country? Look no further than Mississippi Land Bank for your financing needs. For more than 100 years, farming families and landowners in North Mississippi have turned to Mississippi Land Bank for all kinds of financial solutions, whether it's for land, equipment, or livestock. For more information, visit mslandbank.com or go by and see one of their friendly staff at any of their offices. Now let's get back to my friend Cuzz Strickland. Hey, listen, Cuzz, I don't know how closely you've been paying attention to this, but as I focus on Mississippi Land Bank and I talk about farming families, farming families in Mississippi are suffering right now, man. When you look at the global nature of the pricing on ag products and the cost going up so high, all the farming families that I lease land from and who are my friends up in the Mississippi Delta, it's a tough time these days. Do you converse with farmers very much?
Well, yeah, I got a guy that farms about 30 acres on my farm out there. I just let him, and I don't charge him anything, and because his butt's right up to his, and he can drive in, and in the end, it helps me if he plants soybeans, and I let him cut the hay because he's got a little small cow operation. And I had a guy tell me, he said, "What are you charging for them bales?" I said, "Not a dime." He said, "Well, you could get some money from that." And I'm like, I don't really want any money for that. I said, he saves me fuel, and that hay goes to feed cows. And, everybody gets to me, I got some friends that are farmers too. And, they think, man, they get all these government subsidies and all that. You go hang around them and work with them some, you'll see that it's not that easy of a task. One of my good friends, Bo Crestridge over in the Delta, I've seen him struggling. They all have good years and bad years, but so much of that is out of their control with pricing, whether it's from overseas imports, experts, whatever. And it's hard to make a plan for anything like that. And I can tell you, the first time I tried to grow some corn for the deer, my respect for farmers went way up. It's you got to be a mechanic, a biologist, a scientist. We should all take our hat off to them. It's an ordeal.
It's tough, and the real challenge is as they continue to be challenged, because the reality is that some are actually thinking about selling their farms, and and in many of those cases, those farms aren't going to come back and be used in the way that they are today. That's tough to watch, isn't it?
It is, because everybody complains about that guy's he's killing it, he's doing it, but you know what? That's where food comes from, and some people have a jaded view of that, and they want to get on an issue. Something I'm like, be careful now, because we all that food comes to your table at some point, and I don't care about GMOs and all that stuff. If they're not planting the food and taking care of us, man, it could really be bad. Now, the last thing you want is everything to be a giant corporate, farm. And the thought of losing those family farms is heartbreaking. And you see it. They say it's you see that in the land business. The first generation built and scrapped and saved. The second generation kind of maintains. The third generation just sells it off because they don't want any work. And it's kind of heartbreaking.
Listen, I was thinking a lot about the history of turkey conservation in the state recently. I reflected a lot about it on this show as we were hoping to get the turkey bill passed in the state so we could have well over $1 million come back to turkey conservation in this state, and also be able to keep really good records and keep the data coming, et cetera. As I reflected about the years of terrific conservation in the wild turkey in Mississippi, and how our forefathers, some of them connected to Mossy Oak, and the work that they did to bring wild turkey back to this state, that is an incredible story, isn't it?
It really is. We just launched, I think this is the 4th generation of our turkey stamp, and we take that money through gamekeeper grants and make sure it goes to research and for whether it's ecology or nesting or whatever it is. And, people complain, you hear them complain, why is the nesting down? Why the population down? Well, we don't really know. I don't think I've seen a lot of data on that right now, but the bottom line is any creature that's legal to hunt will fare well. It's not going to be on the endangered species list, because in the end, it's those hunters and their dollars and their heart and their hard work that do it. Turkeys may need a little more. There's a lot going on. I don't know what to blame it on. I sat through the turkey symposium a couple of years over in North Carolina, which is all scientists and biologists. Matter of fact, I had my phone on thesaurus the whole time so I could figure these words out. And some question came up to Mike Chamberlain, who's one of the best biologists in the world for turkeys. He said, is it this? Is it that? Is it that? Is it that? He listed like 5 things, or those why the population's down. And so they don't really know what it is, but they need funding to research that. They'll figure it out. And whatever we got to do, whether the limit goes from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1 or whatever it is, we'll figure it out, because you covet what you love and you'll take care of it. And hunters, as you know, because you're one, they always they do the heavy lifting.
They really do. You know what's interesting, Cuzz, is if you look at the success of wild turkey hunting, while in America you may see a decline in hunters, what you're seeing with wild turkey is an increase in interest in hunting for turkeys. And so we're bringing more and more people to the table. In Mississippi, because of the way the seasons are staggered, we've got a lot of people from the outside Mississippi coming in here to hunt because our resources are so like that, isn't it?
Yeah, and some people complain about out-of-staters and all. I'm like, hold on now, you've probably been one at some point. I always, I love to see them all get involved. Social media's had a lot to do with that. You see all these young people camping in their trucks and going, and I'm like, good for you, buddy. I used to have to go to the trailhead and hike in with them heavy cameras. I don't do that anymore, but it's like, it's an adventure. The reason there's so many more in turkey hunting is because even if you've never hunted or done anything like that, you can see yourself bagging a turkey and throwing it over your shoulder and coming out of the woods with it. You have one at Thanksgiving, you figure out how to cook it. Not so much on deer. Some people like, man, I don't know what to do with it. Turkey hunting's the perfect time to introduce people to it. The weather's better. The whole earth is coming back to life after winter. It's a special time. And I don't put down anybody, that's gotten into it. Getting into it, I encourage people all the time, take somebody and teach them how to do it the right way and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think everybody has their motivations around why they hunt a wild turkey or why they hunt a deer or a duck or a squirrel, whatever it might be. But I can't think of anything maybe more addictive than to be out in the turkey woods and the way it grabs people. Do you see a good comparison to that?
Oh, there's nothing like it. I mean, Tom Kelly, Colonel Tom Kelly, it's one of his favorite quotes is, I don't hunt turkeys because I want to. I hunt them because I have to. And, he told me one time, you talking about addiction. I was having a conversation with him about non-gobbling turkeys, and he said, Cuzz, let me tell you something. I think the year was 1956 or something like that. He said, I went every day, and I never heard a turkey gobble. And I'm like, who would have the grit and determination to do that today? Because you see on your phone all these hero pictures and all these great videos, and who would have the gumption to go every day and not hear anything? it is as addictive as anything you'll ever do, especially if you do it right. There's some old school rules in there, and if you do it like that. And another thing, I think the really young generation, I don't know what it is, Generation Z or whatever, that 13 to 20 something, they love that old advice. You were talking about the secret sauce. I had more young people tuning into that to hear what those older guys had to say, because they want to do it. They want to learn how to do it the right way, and they want good advice. And I kind of got a lot of faith in that younger generation, not just in the hunting, but in the world of whatever, politics and everything else. I got a lot of faith in them. I can see the worm turning a little bit. And hey, turkey hunting's part of that, so be it.
So you got the Colonel's up in his upper 90s. Someone posted a video of him recently with a reed in his mouth.
Yeah, he was doing some calling. He's got a partner that helps him with his books. He's 97, and he was yelping on that mouth call. And I reposted it from their site, and man, that thing blew up. It's so great to see him doing that. And when I interviewed Toxie, I asked him, I said, have you ever known of two people more than Colonel Kelly and Mr. Fox that touched that many people in a good way about turkey hunting? It's just priceless.
It is priceless, and boy, they don't make a better storyteller than the Colonel. That is for sure. Hey, Cuzz, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Ricky. Good luck with your son on his turkey. Tell him he's supposed to pick.
I will. We will have Bill Kincaid when we get back.